Hello, Internet. Just wanted to shoot this quick intro video before we get into the webinar. I partnered with Gia, which is an awesome new platform which is helping me optimize a lot of the back end of growing my business. And it's built around helping consulting firms, agencies, and independent businesses just be more productive. You can check out their website, and I'm sure I'll record a video about it. But in the webinar, Toucan and I discussed the tactical tips for you to get your next 10 clients. Now, there's a lot of theory that I didn't go into detail on, but I just made it as practical as possible so you can take away the learnings and implement them straight away. Now, the majority of the content actually came from the Client Pipeline Kickstart course, which is part of the Vault. And as you can see here, it's a very short course, hour and a half, a little bit of theory, but mostly practical. Things like the foundations of client acquisition, how to build a client-ready profile, leveraging your network, especially at the beginning, LinkedIn outreach essentials, a simple sales process as well. A lot of consultants and independent business owners struggle with that sales process. They make it all about them and not about the prospect. I actually cover that in the webinar as well. And then, of course, building consistency and momentum, that's also covered in the webinar too. So the webinar is completely free for you to view. If you ever notice a little duck icon, that's when there's additional resources which are included in the course, which is part of the 97 a month Vault membership. But anyway, I'll leave it here. Let's get into the webinar. Cheers. Awesome. Cheers, Toucan. Yeah, it's 16, 17 minutes because there's just no fluff. We're getting straight into the tactics.
Let's go.
What I really want to share are the 5 main tactics that you can put into place to generate your next 10 clients. And of course, there's other things that you could be doing, but I want to give just the strategies for you to focus your time on now as well. And as Toucan mentioned that I am a consultant, so I've got 15 years in B2B sales and marketing. And actually by day I consult with tech companies and agencies to help them with their sales processes. But at night I've taken all of that knowledge and packaged it in one place to help fractional executives, consultants, or basically any independent business owner also succeed with sales. But I didn't always start in sales. I was a child model, but I only had one gig. And then once that didn't work out for me, I decided I must go back, must be a consultant when I grow up. So, tactic number one, we're getting straight into it. The number one thing that you can do is to revisit and sharpen your ideal client profiles and your personas. So, the ICP or ideal client profile is a detailed description of the type of businesses, so the companies that would benefit most from your services and are in need of your services. It's really important that you target companies that actually need you. And there may be more than one. So in my own business, my consulting business, I've got 2 ICPs. One of them is agencies that are between 50 and 100 people. And the other one is B2B SaaS companies, which are 200 to 500 people. So 2 different ICPs that I offer similar services to, but the reason it's important to have differently defined ICPs is because the message needs to be different. What I would need to send to an agency owner of a 50-person agency is very different to what I'd send to the VP of sales that has 10 people in their sales team at a fast-growing B2B tech startup. So really important to make those distinctions in your ICPs. And then your personas, these are detailed descriptions of the individuals within those companies. And as I mentioned, for the agencies, it's just the agency owner. For the B2B tech companies, for me, it's the VP of sales and maybe the head of SDR or SDR team lead. So really important that you know these. And like I said, the ICP is about the company while the persona focuses on the people. And it's important that you have both of these things. Because if you're not clear on who you're trying to attract, then your sales and your marketing efforts will fall flat. And you want to refine your industry, your ICP by the different types of industries, company stages, buying triggers, and psychographics. And I like to call this the pub test, Toucan. You should be able to describe your ICP in one sentence at a pub with your friend, and they'll be able to turn around and go, "Oh yeah, I think I know someone that fits that ICP."
Yeah, a funny story here, Mark. When we were coming up with Gia, one of the things that I did was when in the customer discovery calls that we did, hundreds of them, and one question I asked them was, right after this meeting, if you go talk to someone, meet someone for a coffee, what would you say did Gia do? Like, how would you describe
Mm.
it? That was the question. I was trying to understand how other people would describe my business. So it's super important. I like the pub test one.
Yeah. And this is a prompt that you can use in ChatGPT, which can help you build out the details that you need for your ICP and your personas. I don't usually like sharing AI prompts, but I just want you to promise me that if you use this, and Tukan, I'm sure we can share the slides after the webinar, just promise me that you will sense check the answers. Don't just take the answers that ChatGPT gives you as gospel. Go through and see with your own experience whether they do align with your understanding of the ideal clients and the personas. So we've refined our ICP, and now we want to get clear with our value proposition and positioning. So you're remember that your ICP, the people that you sell to, they're not buying your service or your service. They're actually buying outcomes. So when you have a value proposition, it goes beyond listing your services and it's about clearly speaking about what you can help your clients achieve. So you want to speak directly to their business goals and current problems and identify your unique value as well. We all have our own unique value. So a super simple framework is I help specific client type achieve specific outcome by, and then your unique approach. And if you can get practice saying this over and over again, so that when you do speak to people, if you're networking in real life and then also online, it's very clear who you help, how you help them. So just a couple of examples here. This is for a fractional CFO. They may say, I help Series A SaaS companies improve cash flow and investor readiness by building lean forecasting models and board level reporting systems. Very, very clear what they do. If you're a content marketing agency, you might say, I help B2B SaaS startups generate inbound leads by creating problem focused content and distribution systems that compound over time. You're not saying I'm a content marketing agency. You're
Mm,
not saying that you're going to create content for people necessarily, because why do people want content? Well, they want to generate leads. And that's what your content can do. And that's why you would mention that you generate inbound leads by creating problem
mm.
focused content. So another tip here is to be clear, not clever. I had this advice once before because sometimes I get a bit too giddy with the marketing and I try and experiment with things and it confuses people. So you just want to be as clear as you can, not clever. So, Ken, anything that you want to add before we jump into the third one?
No, I love the value proposition. I think it's awesome how you are framing it. That's great. That's great advice. This is the part I'm super excited about, mining of warm opportunities.
Yes. So I didn't start here, Toucan, because we need to do the foundational groundwork before of that ICP, the
Yeah,
persona, and then knowing how to describe what it is that you do for when you
totally.
now go and generate or try and generate clients. So when it comes to the first tactic to actually get these new clients,
Yes.
the fastest path to your next client is somebody that you already know. So these could be past clients. And if you've just started as a consultant and you don't have any past clients, think about your past employers or people on your team, people in the senior leadership team. You could treat those like your clients. So check in with them and offer a short debrief or next phase proposal. Past prospects, so re-engage anyone that ghosted. They already know your name. So there's a lot of times where you have conversations with people that it just goes nowhere. Mostly that happens because of status quo, and it just seemed too hard to make a decision, or they weren't ready to make a decision. But re-engage those as well. And then, of course, you've got your immediate network. Ask for intros, but be really, really specific. I hate it when people come to me and say, "Hey, Mark, can you introduce me to anybody that needs my services?" I'm just like, "Well, what is your service? Who do you work with? What do you do for them?" So, and a real easy example is I'm looking to connect with, then explain the type of person at type of company. So I'm looking to connect with head of marketings at B2B SaaS company who might need some more support with creating and distributing content that generates inbound leads. That would be the best way to articulate what it is that you do.
I have a question here, Mark. So the immediate network asking for interest is great. What do you think of when someone says, I want to go close this account? Let's say you're trying to get General Motors as an account, and you have one of your past colleagues working there in General Motors. Is it okay to ask them for that? Like, I want you to connect me with the head of marketing, content marketing at GM.
Yeah, for sure. If you know somebody who's working in a target account, then that's almost like the lowest
Yeah.
hanging fruit that you could go after. But be very clear about what it is that you're asking them for the intro, and then also make it easy for them to make that intro. You might even write a little bit of a blurb or a couple of sentences
Mm.
about why you want this introduction.
Yeah.
So, when reaching out to your network, keep the message friendly and as low pressure as possible. And really, the goal with your network is to reconnect with them and let them know what you're currently working on. Because, believe it or not, the majority of people in your network are not thinking about what you're doing and what you're working on
Yeah.
now and what you're focusing on, even though we spend, our whole waking days thinking about it. So, here's just a super simple framework for you to use. Toucan, we've spoken about cold emails and templates for years, and I've never been a fan about giving away an exact template because people just copy and paste it and send it. So
Mm.
you'll always notice with my stuff is that there's a little bit of a gap in here or the square brackets where it's like add
Yeah.
something personal here. But here's just a very simple framework to get you started with sending out these messages.
Perfect.
And it's very normal to not get a response right away, and that's totally okay. Most people are very busy. So you can wait about a week, and if you haven't heard back, just send a brief follow-up like, "Hey, name, just wanted to follow up on my last message. No worries if now's not the right time. I'm always here if it could be a help. If there's someone in your network who might benefit." Just super low touch, but it might nudge them to go, "Ah, Toucan, I meant to reply. I'm sorry, I just got really busy with some of my work stuff." And no sexy tools or technology. Just track this in a spreadsheet. That's all you need to do at this stage. Okay, we're moving on to the fourth point, and I think we're well on pace, Toucan, for questions at the end.
Yeah.
So really now it's about starting conversations on LinkedIn without being salesy. Note that I'm not saying email here because your least path of resistance is LinkedIn, especially if your
Mm.
ideal clients are already on LinkedIn. So, of course, update your profile with that value proposition and some additional context about how you help companies and people. But your profile and content should position you as a problem solver, not this big pitch machine. So, what you should be doing is sharing that niche specific insights, but and not necessarily broad thought leadership. That can come later. I think if the more tactical content you can share, the more likely people will say, "Oh, I think Mark can help me with solve this problem," which is obviously the problem that you can be brought in to solve. Um, Very simply, connect with 20 new prospects each day. If
Mm.
you connect with 20 new prospects each day, I guarantee you within a month of doing that, and of course sending them messages, you will at least have had some meetings booked and most likely some clients signed up. And just as a tip for outreach, keep it low pressure but as high value as possible.
Question for you, Mark, here.
Yeah.
How do you define a prospect? How do you know who to connect with?
It's because I've done my ICP and persona work. I know exactly the job
Hmm.
titles that I need to reach out to
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
exactly the type of companies they're working at. Now, if you haven't worked with people previously, then yes, it can be a little bit harder. But what I would
Right.
do is if you have a hypothesis of, I think it's the head of marketing I need to reach out to, or it's the chief operating officer I need to reach out to, what you
Mm.
should do is see if you've got anybody who has that job title in your network already who's friendly to you and
Mm.
ask them if you're thinking of running the service or you're thinking of offering this to solve this problem.
Mm.
I'm not trying to sell to you today at all, but is this a problem that resonates with you? Or have I just been creating this in a dark room that
Yeah.
hasn't been proven? So that's what I would do to kind of establish whether you have the right
Fair
service
enough.
and the right people.
Okay.
Cool. So LinkedIn content. So what should you share? At this stage, you do not need to be a content expert or a big content machine. All I recommend that you do is just aim to keep up appearances by sharing valuable content and consistently. If you're not posting at all just yet, post once a week. If you're already posting once a week, try posting 2 or 3 times a week. If you're already doing 3 times a week and you've got a bit of capacity to do 5 times a week, then do that as well. There's no real
Mm.
magic number. What we just want to make sure is that our profile looks busy and it looks like we know what we're talking about when somebody comes to
Mm.
have a look at that profile after you've reached out to them. So you could share news articles and add your commentary to those news articles, especially if there's trends and things happening in the industry. Or you can create original content by focusing on the common problems that you can solve for people. And then you can use topic clusters. Probably the best thing to do is Google HubSpot topic clusters, and it will just explain what that is. But I can help with cold email and cold calling. So one cluster is cold call, the next cluster is cold emailing, and I can create lots of different content based on everything that goes into a good cold call and everything that goes into a good cold email. Those would be two different clusters. And if you're struggling for content ideas or it seems too daunting, then you actually already have a lot of the content. You just need to rework it slightly. So with Gia, which follows you around and listens to all of your calls, after you've had a call, especially with a prospect or with a client, it will give you a suggestion as to what you can share on social. And I really like what it comes up with. It's not 100% perfect, but I don't think it's meant to be. But it gets me to 90% of that post. So this was a conversation I had with another a sales consultant who works with agencies. And this is going to be a post that I share. I think I've got it scheduled for next week now. And Gia managed to build this all for me, and it makes it super easy to copy it as well. And then also client advice. You answer so many questions for clients,
Mm,
or you have done in the past, or it could be your internal team members if you're just starting out, you're at the very early stages. This is just a response I sent to one of my clients who asked me questions about deals that are stalling in his pipeline. So I'm like, brilliant, great answer, Mark. Let me copy this now and rework it slightly so I can then publish it on LinkedIn. Because if my customer is asking me that question, hundreds of prospects probably have the same question as well. We're on the home stretch, Toucan. Anything there on the content piece?
the one thing that I've heard from people is with regards to LinkedIn to get more visibility, not only just post content and share content, but also apparently commenting on other people's relevant people's content with some insightful thinking or thought actually boosts your visibility of your profile and your reach for your content. That's
Yeah.
apparently a thing.
Yeah, it definitely can help. The reason I didn't recommend it here is one of those things which you could do, but here are the things I recommend doing right
Sure,
now.
100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is no, but I want to explain. The reason is that you can control who you connect with and who you speak to and who you start conversations with. You can't control necessarily who's going to see that comment. So I think if you aren't doing any of these five things already that we're sharing today, then don't worry about the commenting. But once you've started doing the commenting, once you've started doing the reaching out, the publishing content, because it takes a lot to go from zero to one. But once you've got the systems and routine and the habit of doing so, then definitely commenting on like industry thought leaders or other people that serve the same audience, but be authentic. I think Tukan, you and I see a lot of kind of AI generated comments on our
Mm,
posts and on other people's posts. So don't try and shortcut it. Definitely add some insights if you can. And if you can't, don't force it, just skip it.
okay, we have a Q and A. I want to, do you want to do the Q&A later, Mark, at the
Yeah,
end?
I've just got, I guess we've got a
Okay,
couple more
perfect.
slides to get
Perfect.
through,
Yeah, yeah,
then we
let's do
can do
that.
the
Let's
Q&A.
perfect. Okay.
So a lot of people are 100% focused on generating new meetings in order to get clients, but they often drop the ball when it comes to the discovery call and the discovery process. So I want to talk about just very briefly what a simple sales process is. I know a lot of independent business owners and agency owners don't come from a sales background, and the sales process can seem overwhelming, but it really doesn't have to be. You just need a really clear process, and there's three stages. You need to start conversations with prospects. And then once you book a meeting with them, you then need to qualify whether they're the right type of person to work with and understand if they have the needs for your services or your solution. And then the final stage, which is obviously a little bit longer, is presenting the solutions to them, then negotiating with them, and then closing the deal. And that is the simplest way that I could break down what a sales process is. When it comes to discovery calls, that's just a conversation where you learn about the prospect's business, their goals and challenges, and then determine if there's a good fit for your services. Not everybody you speak to will be a good potential client, and that's okay. But you want to approach the discovery call like a diagnostic process, like a doctor would. If you had a headache and you went to the doctors, and as soon as you open the door, the doctor didn't ask you anything about that headache, but gave you some medicine, you're probably not going to take that medicine because there could be lots of reasons why you have a headache. And another thing I like to say is like, be the guide, not the hero. So you need to be like Yoda in this conversation, not Luke Skywalker. And a lot of people, whether they are big businesses and salespeople in big technology companies or individuals, they make the process all about them. And the more you speak about you and position yourself as the hero, the less likely the prospect is actually going to listen to you. So during a discovery call, your main objectives are to understand the prospect's needs, establish trust and rapport, assess the fit between them and you, and then lay the groundwork for the next steps. And like I said, like a doctor, ask open-ended questions, listen actively, don't jump in with a solution as they're telling you the problem. You need to go deeper and deeper to find out why they haven't done anything or what they've tried so far. And then that's why you need to diagnose before you prescribe. And we're almost at the end of the discovery calls, but a very simple outline or guide in terms of timing, because a lot of people ask me this. First 2 minutes on the intro and the agenda setting, then 10 to 15 minutes to explore the pain, the challenges that they're in, 5 minutes to position your solution. And then at the very last minute, as you're wrapping up, you really want to book in an extra meeting. You want this is known as BAM FAM or book a meeting from a meeting. Get that second meeting secured in, and it could ideally as soon as you can. And then that gives you time to prepare a proposal and present your solution as well on that second call. When I give training to B2B sales teams, I talk about you need to build a bridge between the problem and the solution for your prospect. And this is what's really important in that process. You need to prove to them that you've worked with other people who are like them, who are similar, who had the same challenge. And before they started with you, their life was like this. And now they've worked with you, their life is amazing and it's like this. And you really need to paint that picture for people. So, you may have seen that there were no silver bullets in this presentation, and in reality and in life, there are no silver bullets for anything. Consistency is the real game changer. So, I want to share how you can put this into practice as we wrap up now. Small actions, repeated daily, have a compounding effect over time. And successful pipeline building routines include daily outreach, engaging with your network, as Tukan said, that could be commenting as well, and also following up with people. Do not be afraid to follow up. So start by dedicating just 20 to 30 minutes a day to pipeline activities, and you could do 10 minutes for outreach. So connect with 10 new people or 20 new people every day, 10 minutes for engagement, and then 5 to 10 minutes for follow-ups as well. And that could be follow-ups to people that you've had a sales conversation with, but also follow up to messages that you've been sending on LinkedIn as well. I block out the first 30 or 45 minutes of my day for this activity. And it's the only thing that I do before I get into my client work. I don't do anything else other than the sales activity. And my pipeline's been pretty full, and I've been at capacity for the whole year so far. And that's purely because I put in the routine and put in the hard work of 20 to 30 minutes every morning last year. And celebrate the small wins as well. I think it's really important that we take stock of the journey and some of the wins that we achieve along the way. And that is it, Tukan. Hopefully,
Cool.
I said 16 minutes. That wasn't too bad.
No, that was very good. We have a couple of questions. I'll start with
Yes.
the first one. The question was, I'm hearing a sense that people who post daily have become overexposed, and prospects are finding the whole influencer model of LinkedIn to become overwhelming now. What do you think? Meaning, if you're posting too much, people are shutting you off. You sound like an influencer. Yes.
Yeah. So I understand the sentiment, but the reality is like I've got, I think, 15,000 connections or 18,000 connections. I only see the same people all the time. As in, sorry, I don't see all of those people's posts. So you're at the mercy of LinkedIn's algorithm. And if you were posting every day, you are really the only one that knows that you're posting every day. I see Toucan
Mm.
often because I'm engaging with Toucan. And we've spoken in the LinkedIn DMs, and the more DMs that you send to people, if me and Toucan are DMing, there's more likely that I'll see Toucan's content and he'll see mine. So
Huh. Okay.
I wouldn't overthink it. Again, you just want to prove that you know what you're talking about and you have the expertise that they're looking for.
Okay. We have two more questions.
Sure.
One that says, when connecting on LinkedIn, do you send a blank request without a personalized note and then follow up later with a message, or you add a personalized note to connect?
Good question. I did have a slide there, which is included in like the full course that I've got. I don't send connection messages. I keep
Yeah.
it blank. I've done lots of tests, and it's pretty much the same results that you get, whether you send personalized messages or blank messages. But it takes a lot more time to write personalized messages in those connection requests. So I leave it blank. But a good rule of thumb is the more commercial the person that you're reaching out to. So if they're a founder, a CEO, if they're in marketing, if they're in sales, you can keep it blank. The more introverted the individual, the not reputation, but the more introverted they might be, then maybe you might want to try putting in a connection message.
Okay, great. The next question we have two more questions. One question is, what's your typical project duration per client, and what do you consider a sustainable rate in your pipeline? Meaning, I'm guessing sustainable rate meaning conversion rate.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe they can confirm whether that is conversion rate or
Yeah.
not. But the length of your client engagements are completely up to you as to how long you want them to be. Some people prefer to have monthly retainers, which last for 12
Mm-hmm.
months, 2 years.
Yeah.
Or I have 3 month programs, or they're not a program,
Mm.
but 3 months engagements where I actually don't want to work with the client after 3 months because I've fixed everything and they're on the right track. They've graduated from working with me. And
Mm.
of course,
Mm.
that can lead on to other things and other projects as well. But the most important thing is just to understand your unit economics. If you are working for 3 month projects, then you still need to do your pipeline activity because after 3 months, you're going to end up with no client
Yeah.
or clients are all going to be finishing.
Yeah. No, that's valid. It's an interesting question. This assumes a lot of this content assumes that your persona is on LinkedIn. But
Yeah.
what if I'm a consultant serving a vertical where the folks are not on LinkedIn? What's the next best channel to explore? Like, how do I go about doing that?
Yeah, so the channel that you need to focus on is dictated to whether or not your persona is on there. So if your persona is
Sure.
not on LinkedIn, then I'd ask, well, what channel or where are they? And then do exactly the same things, but in that channel. So of course you
Hmm.
can't send LinkedIn connection messages if they're not on LinkedIn, but find out where they are spending time online, and that's what you cover in your ICP and personas. And it might be that there are in-person events. It might be that email might be a better channel.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need to do all of the activity in the channel. Like, I don't do TikTok, I don't do Instagram. LinkedIn is for me where everybody needs to be, and it's where I can focus.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Um, we have 2 more minutes. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to post in here. Um, but it was super helpful, Mark. Thank you so much. It was very practical, tactical, exactly how I was expecting. For everyone that is joining, this is recorded. We will be sharing the recording after the call. And if you have any questions, reach out to me, connect with Mark on LinkedIn, and we'll continue doing more of these tactical advices sessions for our crowd, um, people that follow Gia. And yeah, thank you very much. If there's no more questions, we'll give you guys uh, 2 minutes back. And thank you once again, Mark, and thanks everyone for attending. Thank you. See you,
Cheers
everyone.
again. Cheers,
Bye bye.
everyone.
See
Take
ya.
care.
Bye.